Jungkook smirked, his fingers digging into Jimin's hips possessively. Maybe I like getting burned, he murmured, his lips trailing along Jimin's jawline, especially if it means getting to touch you like this. His hands slid down to cup Jimin's backside, squeezing firmly. Jungkook pressed his hips forward, letting Jimin feel the growing hardness in his pants. Jimin's eyes widened at the sudden contact, a soft gasp escaping his lips. He could feel Jungkook's arousal pressing against him, hot and insistent. It sent a jolt of desire straight to his core, making him tremble in Jungkook's arms. Jungkook smirked at Jimin's reaction, his grip on the smaller man's backside tightening. "See what you do to me," he murmured, his lips brushing against Jimin's ear. "You drive me crazy, Jimina." He rolled his hips forward, grinding against Jimin slowly. Jungkook's hands slid up under Jimin's shirt, caressing the smooth skin of his back. Jimin gasped softly, his head falling back against the wall as Jungkook touched him. He could feel every ridge and contour of Jungkook's arousal through their clothes, sending waves of pleasure through his body. "Jungkook," Jimin breathed out, his voice trembling with need. He wrapped his arms around Jungkook's neck, pulling him closer. "Please." Jungkook groaned at the sound of Jimin begging for him. He captured Jimin's lips in a fierce kiss, pouring all his pent-up desire into it. His hands roamed over Jimin's body possessively, squeezing and caressing every inch of exposed skin. "I've got you," Jungkook murmured against Jimin's lips between kisses. "I'm going to make you feel so good, Jimina." His hands slid down to grip Jimin's thighs, lifting the smaller man up effortlessly. Jungkook wrapped Jimin's legs around his waist, pressing him firmly against the wall. As he continued to grind their hips together, Jungkook's arousal strained against his pants, throbbing with need as he felt Jimin's warmth pressed against him. He nipped and K'd at Jimin's neck, leaving a trail of marks along the sensitive skin. Jungkook's hands slid down to grip Jimin's backside, squeezing the firm globes as he ground their hips together. F***CK Jimin, Jungkook groaned, his voice husky with desire. "You feel so good. I want you so badly." He reached between their bodies to palm Jimin through his clothes, feeling the smaller man's hardness pressing back against him. Jungkook rubbed him slowly, applying just the right amount of pressure to make Jimin gasp and squirm in his arms. "Jungkook," Jimin whimpered, his hips bucking forward into Jungkook's touch. He could feel himself growing harder by the second, his arousal aching for more friction. Jungkook smirked against Jimin's neck, loving the way the smaller man responded to his touch. Jungkook smirked against Jimin's neck, loving the way the smaller man responded to his touch. He continued to grind against Jimin, his movements becoming more urgent as his desire grew. Jungkook's hands slid under Jimin's shirt, caressing the smooth skin of his back and sides. "I'm going to make you feel so good, Jimina," Jungkook murmured against Jimin's ear, his breath hot and heavy. "I'm going to make you forget about everything except me." His fingers hooked into the waistband of Jimin's pants, tugging at them teasingly. Jungkook leaned back slightly to look into Jimin's eyes, his own filled with hunger and lust. "Tell me you want this," he demanded softly. "Tell me you want me." Jungkook waited for Jimin's response, his heart pounding in his chest. He could see the desire and hesitation warring in Jimin's eyes, and he knew that the smaller man was on the verge of breaking. Jungkook leaned in closer, his lips brushing against Jimin's ear as he whispered, "Say it, Jimin-ah. Tell me how much you want me." His voice was low and husky, filled with a mixture of demand and pleading. Jungkook's hand slipped inside Jimin's pants, palming his hardness through the fabric of his underwear. Jungkook wrapped his fingers around Jimin's erection, stroking slowly from base to tip. He leaned in to nip at Jimin's neck, his other hand gripping the smaller man's hip possessively. "Tell me," Jungkook demanded, his voice low and commanding. "Tell me how much you want me, Jimin-ah." His thumb swiped over the sensitive head of Jimin's arousal, spreading the bead of pre-cum that had gathered there. Jungkook's touch was electric, sending shivers of pleasure through Jimin's body. Jimin gasped and arched into Jungkook's hand, his fingers tightening in the taller man's hair. F*CK, Jungkook, he panted, his voice trembling with need. I want you so badly." The admission spilled from his lips before he could stop it, a confession born of desperation and desire. Jungkook groaned at Jimin's words, his grip on the smaller man's arousal tightening. "That's it," he murmured against Jimin's neck, his lips brushing against the sensitive skin. "Tell me how much you need me." His hand moved faster, stroking Jimin with purposeful movements designed to drive him wild. Jungkook's other hand slid down to cup Jimin's backside, squeezing the firm globe. As he ground their hips together, he could feel his own arousal straining against his pants, aching for release. Jungkook nipped at Jimin's earlobe, his breath hot and heavy against the smaller man's skin. "I'm going to make you feel so good," he promised, his voice low and husky with desire. "I'm going to make you forget about everything except the feeling of my hands on your body." Jungkook's fingers tightened around Jimin's arousal, stroking him with increasing urgency. He could feel the smaller man trembling in his arms, his breath coming in short gasps as Jungkook brought him closer and closer to the edge. "Come for me, Jimin-ah," Jungkook urged, his voice low and commanding. "I want to feel you fall apart in my arms." His thumb swiped over the sensitive head of Jimin's arousal, applying just the right amount of pressure to send the smaller man over the edge. With a final cry of Jungkook's name, Jimin shattered in his arms. His release pulsed through him, hot and intense. As Jungkook continued to stroke him through it, Jimin clung to Jungkook desperately, his body shaking with the force of his O*gasm. Jungkook groaned as he felt Jimin's release pulsing through him, his own arousal throbbing in response. He continued to stroke the smaller man through his orgasm, drawing out every last tremor of pleasure until Jimin was a boneless, panting mess in his arms. Only then did Jungkook slow his movements, gentling his touch as he helped Jimin come down from his high. He pressed soft kisses along Jimin's neck and jawline, murmuring praise and affection against the smaller man's skin. "That's it, Jimin-ah," Jungkook murmured, his voice soft and soothing. "You're so beautiful when you come apart for me." He nuzzled into the crook of Jimin's neck, inhaling the scent of the smaller man's arousal and sweat. His hands roamed over Jimin's body, gently caressing the curves and dips that he had explored so thoroughly just moments before. Jungkook's own arousal strained against his pants, aching for release, but he ignored it for now. Jimin trembled in Jungkook's embrace, his body still tingling with the aftermath of his orgasm. He buried his face in the crook of Jungkook's neck, inhaling the scent of the taller man's cologne mixed with sweat. Jungkook felt Jimin's breath hitch as he kissed along his neck, the smaller man's hands gripping his shoulders tightly. He smiled against Jimin's skin, loving the way the other man responded to his touch. Jungkook's own desire was building rapidly, his hips pressing forward instinctively to seek friction. Jungkook, Jimin gasped, arching into him. Please. The plea was all it took to snap the last of Jungkook's control. With a growl, he captured Jimin's lips in a searing kiss, his tongue delving deep to taste the smaller man fully.